Good afternoon. My name is Meg Folsom, and today I'm going to be presenting to you my project that I did at my internship site, which focused on improving function and awareness of cardiopulmonary health. Okay, so to give a little background, I did my internship at St. Mary's Wellness Center. The best way to describe this place is just your typical gym. It provides cardiovascular and strength training equipment to support an individual's health journey and to improve their fitness, their overall health. The difference between this place is this facility provides many different resources and services, such as like massage therapy, post rehabilitation, fitness classes, and then also medical wellness programs such as cardiac rehab and pulmonary rehab. This facility is available to all ages. However, I will say the main population here is majority elderly people. My main focus was the cardiopulmonary phase 3 rehab, though, which is the medical wellness program. Okay, so some common healthcare issues that I saw this past 12 weeks of doing my internship here. So regarding cardiovascular diseases and the reason why people are coming in for the cardiac phase 3 rehab, include like hypertension, congestive heart failure, coronary artery disease, arrhythmias, peripheral arterial disease, valvular heart disease, stroke, all of those sorts. And then for pulmonary rehab, some of the diseases you'll see is COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, asthma, pneumonia, and interstitial lung diseases, lung cancer, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, chronic bronchitis, all of those sorts. So, some common risk factors that might result in patients or any individuals to require or be referred by their doctor to come to the cardiopulmonary phase 3 rehab would include like high blood pressure. They lack physical activity, so they do not exercise. It is very common for the older population to, since they are retired, I would say the best way to say is they don't have much to do. And like many of them expressed this to me over these past 12 weeks that like after they work out, they're going home to sit in the recliner and watch the news. That's very common for that population. So for the people that aren't coming to the wellness center or getting any kind of exercises, they're not moving around, they're not having any physical activity. So the next one, maybe they're overweight, high blood cholesterol, they have some addictive lifestyle behaviors such as smoking, drinking. I guess lack of physical activity can kind of be involved with this. So they sit, couch potatoes. And then the next one is poor diet. So maybe they consume a lot of fatty foods, greasy, fried, a lot of sugar, desserts. Everyone loves a sweet treat after dinner, but sometimes those can get excessive. So those all can be risk factors that might result in any of the diseases that I listed and stated on the last slide, which can result with them being referred by a doctor to come to the St. Mary's Wellness Center. So getting into my project, I created a physical resource manual right here. This is for new and current patients that attend the St. Mary's Wellness Center cardiopulmonary rehab. My intentions behind this was for patients to be able to keep their own manual. Also, the St. Mary's Wellness Center didn't have a manual like this detailed, so also they'd have their own, but they can also keep it on themselves. When they come to the facility, they can take it home. We do track their vitals as such, you'll see it in here later on, where blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation. However, those files and vitals and whatever stay at the facility and are put in a filing cabinet, so the patients don't get to take them home with them. It's it's not theirs to keep, basically, but this would be theirs to keep. I also feel like this allows for it to be more personalized. Like, this is theirs. They can do it however they want to. It's theirs. That's the best way to say it. This is theirs. So who is this for? Again, it's targeted towards the cardiopulmonary phase 3 rehab, but also any member of the St. Mary's Wellness Center can get it. They can have it if they want it, but it is mainly targeted towards the cardiopulmonary patients. So, to give some sort of reasoning, it is important to take a preventative approach, and I've definitely seen that interning here. I've listed 6, you can see to the right. I've listed 6 reasons of why it is important to take a preventative approach. Number 1 being it reduces risk of complications. So these people coming to the center, to the facility, they are improving their health and reducing the complications that the certain conditions that they have gave them. It improves quality of life. That is just, honestly, in my opinion, major for anyone, public health, honestly, any individual. You need a good quality of life to have a good life, basically. I think this manual, as this is a preventative approach, will encourage long-term health, and then just overall preventative approach it'll encourage, you see a difference, you're going to be motivated to keep going. Also kind of go with some number 1, it reduces risk before problems start or it happens again. So say a patient was referred by their doctor to come in, they might not have a condition yet, such as a heart attack or the diseases before that I said, but they still need to come in to start getting active to maybe prevent that from happening. So this approach will reduce the risk. Or if somebody who's had a heart attack or had some kind of cardiac or pulmonary condition, it'll prevent the risk of them having it again as they're coming in, improving their health, yada yada. Number 5, this one, I feel like we can all agree on. We all live in America. We know healthcare is expensive and the bills stack up. So, you have these cardiac or these pulmonary conditions, so you're constantly in the hospital getting procedures done, tests ran, you name it, anything, just regular doctor's appointment just for a checkup. It gets expensive, so taking a preventative approach will reduce the cost and reduce the chances of you having to continue to pay. It's a constant conversation that many of the patients have brought up. They're just it's expensive, and it's constant because it is such a crucial, your heart's important, your lungs are important, it's important to stay on top of that. So these people going to the hospital constantly gets expensive. So do this, reduce the cost. And number 6, overall it saves the lives. That's important. That's don't really need to explain that. It just saves lives. Okay, so diving into my project, starting with the planning process. Basically, I had to identify the need, which started with discussing with my supervisor what I thought would be the most beneficial for the patients and provide the most improvement. I realized that the cardiopulmonary patients were the best target to do, just because they are required, they're referred there by a doctor because of the conditions that they have, and most eyes are on them because they do have these conditions. So I thought that would be the best target population. The observation side, I did realize very quickly working helping out with the cardiopulmonary phase 3 rehab that many of the patients were not very educated on specific information that I think is important that they need to know, especially about themselves if they have those conditions. That dinged a light bulb in my head, hey, that might be important. I also observed that they needed something that wasn't technology, just because, technology is hard. Like, even for me, I'm 22 years old and I struggle with technology. Now, if we think for the elderly population, they didn't grow up with technology. It's very confusing. So I think something physical, which like the manual, like they needed something like physical that they could look through instead of like running into barriers such as the internet or their smartphones and just not knowing how to use it, and then end up not knowing the information or having all of this stuff available to them. So the involvement of public health is prevention and health promotion. So prevention is we're reducing the individual's risk of health conditions. And then health promotion is education. So we're giving them all this information, we're educating them, growing their knowledge, self-management tools. We'll go into this a little bit deeper into this presentation, but right here we have vital sign log sheets where they can log their blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation. So those are some self-management tools. Behavior change support, and then accessible public health communication. So at the end of the manual, I provided local resources such as transportation. There's public transportation, and then there's a private. I also, this was pretty cool because I got to talk with, they weren't a patient, but they were a member at the St. Mary's Wellness Center that uses private transportation because some people can't drive anymore, or some people are in wheelchairs but still want to come to improve their health, exercise, physical activity. And they gave me their top 3 ones that they've used before. So I put those in here so we know they're reliable, they're good company, all of that. And then the next one I did St. Mary's resource contacts, such as the community health worker and then the diabetes prevention program. St. Mary's is constantly doing different prevention programs. This is just the top one right now, and I thought that would be very important because diabetes is also a common condition within this facility. So the next step in the planning process was choosing what goals and objectives I wanted to achieve once this was all done, what I wanted the outcome to be. So for my goals, I wanted to improve the knowledge and the personal management of the cardiopulmonary health. I wanted to promote preventative health behaviors, enhance patient engagement, and then improve overall quality of health, of course. And then my 3 objectives is I wanted to provide practical education that is easily attainable. Back with the technology, I wanted something physical that they could have their hands on at the tip of their fingers whenever. It's not hard to look at, all that sort. I wanted to promote physical activity and self-monitoring habits, which also goes with, like I said before, health promotion. And then also encouragement. I really do hope this encourages all of the patients, any person who has access to this. I hope it's just like an encouraging thing in their life and along with their health journey. So next step, design considerations. This kind of was fun. I wanted the manual to be a user-friendly format. I wanted it to be easy to follow, consistent formatting, the content to be very organized and easy to like identify and find. I wanted it to have bullet points. I didn't want it to be too many sentences, too many words where sometimes we're all guilty. We look at things and then we're just like, that's a lot of words. I don't want to read that. So I wanted it to be kind of the opposite. So I also wanted to include a lot of visuals. I wanted to grab their attention. One of the sections actually is, it has like all of the exercises that they can do and the different machines and the specific like strength, cardio, vascular endurance, all of that. But one section specifically is the flexibility and joint mobility along with the balance and mobility. This section demonstrates these certain exercises and stretches that they can do. So thought that was good for visuals. I wanted readable text and also fonts. You don't want it too complicated, but you also need the fonts to be a little bit bigger so it's easier to read. Content and language. I wanted simple language. I wanted it to follow like cultural sensitivity, positive tone, along with like the encouragement. Don't want any negativity in there, just positive, encouraging, happy. And then the interactive features. This is the trackers and the logs of the like vital signs, the personal notes, which I showed the vital sign log sheet, but at the very end of the manual, I included a couple pages of notes that they can, if they want to write down certain things, like I liked this, I liked that, or notes of encouragement, whatever they want. This is their section, personalized, they do what they want to this. And then also I included calendars, so maybe they can track the days that they came to the gym, to the facility, and then the days that they didn't, maybe doctor's appointments, so that they can relate them that they have an upcoming doctor's appointment, so they're going to need their vitals, which is a thing. We have to create a whole doc of their vitals that they can take to their doctors. So this will help, keep track, because, people forget things sometimes. So now going into the development. So what was done? I started with creating a table of contents of everything that I wanted to be included in this manual. This was a bit kind of like a draft until maybe the very end, just because like I created, obviously you can see the next step, I created the sections and the pages, and so like I would be doing this and I'd be like, oh wait, let's add this, that would also go along with this, so maybe like another page. Some of the sections include like facility information, like the hours, the prices for the cardiopulmonary phase 3 rehab, but also just like a regular membership if they like, I keep saying graduate from this rehab. There's understanding basic heart and lung information, vital signs and tracking, etc. The next thing I did was I chose a design that was very professional, but it also was going to grab the patient's attention. So I didn't want it to be too professional, or like I said, too many words, like you're just not attracted to it, you're going to avoid that, but also like kind of had to meet in the middle there. And then my last step for developing it was I began researching evidence-based cardiopulmonary statistics and facts. I wanted every piece of information that I have in here to be true, reliable, accurate, and not anything false that's gonna misinform the patients. So after I did that, I then decided that I needed to discuss with the staff at the St. Mary's Wellness Center and also get inputs, because my goal was to ensure that the information that was shared was accurate, relevant, and aligned specifically with the St. Mary's Wellness Center cardiopulmonary patients. So I collaborated with the staff to include their knowledge about what they feel is best for their patients, what they want in there too. Just because also, they're specialized in that, so they know best. And then the inputs, so specifically the stuff that I researched, I wanted to ask their input whether or not they felt that it was relevant and accurate and could pertain to the patients. And then I did ask the exercise specialist what specific exercises they recommend, ones that actually do work, ones that kind of are not for this targeted population. And yeah, we went from there. And then the printing and the preparation. This was a fun part. I have never printed anything before, so I was a little lost on this. I kind of thought it would be expensive. I didn't know where to do it. However, my supervisor told me that I could do it at the wellness center, so I didn't have to pay for it. They provided that and all the resources, so big thank you to them. I then laminated each of the pages, and I hole punched it to keep each page in order and it neat while they read it. So this was my first draft. As you can see, I hole punched it. It's a little, you open it, it kind of, you got to hold it with a tighter grip. This was the best I could do with limited resources. They were free. I'm not going to complain. However, I will go into a little bit more detail, but the next slide, actually, we do have a different copy. Actually, we'll just go along with it now. So when I introduced the manual to the first group, the morning group, because cardiopulmonary rehab is split up into a morning group and then afternoon group. So the morning group was kind of my guinea pigs with presenting this. So actually, specifically, one of the patients was they had a business of printing and doing all of that. I don't even know the real name of it, but they saw this and they were like, will you actually email this to me? I would love to print this and then get it spiral. I don't even know what you call this. So they did that for me and brought it back, and it looks amazing. It's the laminated front sheet and then the nice copy paper with the spiral to keep it like an actual book with the back covering. It looks awesome. That was so great that they did that for me. It was awesome. So when I introduced it to the morning group, besides the printing problem, this was my first approach that I chose to do. So I started off by explaining to them what I was showing them and why I had to do this, basically explaining that we had to do a project for our internship through our class. And then I decided to hand them the book and ask them to look through it, tell me their honest opinions. I wanted to know whether or not they would want to use it, or they would use it, if it was useful information, or if they just wouldn't. But I also wanted to know how to improve it. So that, I would say, was not the best approach, just because I don't feel as though all of the patients understood what each page meant and like my reasonings behind it. So then when I introduced it to the afternoon group, I, of course, also explained the purpose of why I created the manual, but then I chose to sit down with the patients to go through the manual and explain why I put certain things in it and my intentions and reasoning behind like each section that I did, so that they would be like, they would have a better understanding, basically. I then also did ask for opinions throughout that time of me sharing it and sitting down with them to get more beneficial inputs. And on the next slide, we actually have some of the evaluations that I did receive, the feedback. Again, each of the patients that I shared the manual with gave me their opinions of what they liked, what they would use, maybe what they wouldn't use, which they thought was like irrelevant, how they would do some areas differently, and also what they would like to be included in this manual. So I shared I got several more than 6, but I shared 6. One of them was they immediately pointed out the colors and said that was very like attractive to them, that it didn't look boring, something that they might want to read. And then someone requested more information on nutrition and diets. I did include a page in here that is an adequate like proportioned meal. However, which includes like dairy, carbs, proteins, fruits, and vegetables, but they wanted it to go in a little more depth, which I get that. I think that would be beneficial. The next one, somebody said that they liked having the balance and mobility exercises and along with the pictures. I actually got this idea because one of the patients came up and asked for some of the extra like balance exercises because their balance was awful. And they pointed out that they love to have it. I got that idea from them. So after I showed this to them, they did ask to take the manual out and use it during their workout for that day. So that made me very happy that they were putting it already day one into use. Somebody else also requested them some information on weight amounts and how much to do or how much to start out with, just depending on like which step, like how far into the rehab they are. Some people have just started, so they're going to be at a different weight than the people that, have been here. There's some people that have been here for over a decade, so their kind of on different levels. So I think that would be a good idea. Kind of along with the printing, somebody said they want a better way of holding the book together, and they felt like it was just hard to handle, hard to look at. It was just a little messy. And then somebody else shared that they like the idea of having their own personal information with them at all times on the tip of their fingers. I feel like that was very good input and feedback, just because they're not going to have to email or call or like maybe go on the internet, which is a challenge sometimes, to get the information that they need, such as like our hours, our closing, to let us know, I don't know, just anything about that. So some challenges that I did face during this project, the process of the project, I listed 8 of them here. So one of them was, I do wish that I was able to start this project and get it developed and finished and everything earlier in the internship, so that I was able to observe the patients using it during their workouts. However, obviously the internship is coming to an end, so I won't be able to see it, but hopefully other people will watch, do what they want with that. I also felt like as though not all of the patients were as eager as others and don't really care to know about the information in the manual. Again, a lot of people are required to be there by their doctors, so they just they're there, they don't want to do much, so they weren't as like, oh, this is neat, this is cool. So I want to figure out a way to change that. The next one is, I'd say, was choosing what I wanted to include, like narrowing down the most important and most important information that would be the most useful to them. I feel like there was just tons of stuff that I could have included, but I didn't want too much information just being thrown in their face. I also faced a kind of a time constraint when I was showing the patients. I felt as though some of the patients wanted to just get in and out, and I was struggling on do I show them before their workout or do I show them after their workout to get the most feedback, to have their attention fully. So that was a challenge. The next one was designing each page that grabbed attention but was not overwhelming. Kind of goes with number 7 of making it practical but not too informative. I didn't, again, want so much information. I wanted it where they can use it if this is a practical resource to them. Yeah. Also, the next one, challenge, was I struggled with making it relevant to each patient. I feel like there's some stuff that I could have included that would be relevant to one patient but not the other. So it was kind of hard to find balance in the middle, where it was they can use this information but also they can use this information. So, all right, so to conclude on this project, I truly do think this resource will be valuable to the St. Mary's Wellness Center. It increases engagement. It's a personalized patient support resource. It builds stronger community connections, it increases patient education and awareness, which also goes into the supporting of public health, which includes teaching, encouragement, strengthening community health, again, promoting disease prevention because we're taking a preventative approach, improves health literacy, and reduces health disparities, which this targeted population that I chose, they have a lot of health disparities, so I do believe this will overcome that. So future recommendations, I have 3 of them. I will obviously not be there because my internship is coming to an end, but I do hope that this manual is updated regularly to ensure the information is accurate, appropriate. If something new comes out, changes from whatever I have in here, I hope that it is updated so that it is the most beneficial to the patients. The second one is I would include the recommended topics that were requested by the patients during the feedback process, such as diet, nutrition, and then how much weight is recommended. And then the third one is I hope, because I can't, but I hope the staff continues to collect feedback for improvement. You know, things change. New people will be coming in to this facility. So if there's something in there that would benefit them, I hope that it is changed and updated for them. All right, well, I wanted to include a little bit at the end of this presentation to give a little shout out to St. Mary's Wellness Center and my overall internship experience. It was a 10 out of 10 if I had to rate it. I truly loved my time here at the St. Mary's Wellness Center. All the staff members were truly great. They were amazing. They created such a welcoming environment for me, and it made the experience so much better. All of the patients that I interacted with, they are all so precious, sweet, awesome, funny, you name it. I'll always hold them so close to my heart, and I hope I get to come back and visit them because I will miss them. And then also my supervisor, he was amazing. He was great. He allowed for me to branch out on my own and not feel coddled. It was not like how you think interns are treated. He treated me like I was just a staff member. So that was awesome. They've all been amazing, and I couldn't recommend this more for future public health major internships. So, yeah. Thank you.